Dr. J. Kumar, Professor, Crystal Growth Center, Anna University, Chennai, is teaching UG and PG for past 23 years. He has won DAE's Young Scientist Award in 1995. His publications in international journals are 137. He has given research guidance for 18 PhD scholars and has also won the Best Consultant Award for 2011. His field of specialization is growth and characterization of semiconductor crystals. He has investigated research projects funded by DST, ISRO, UGC, DOE, DAE. He has visited many countries such as Italy, USA, Korea, Japan, Germany, Singapore, Taiwan, and Thailand.
Welcome to this UGC lecture series on electronic science. We have earlier discussed about the different form of matter like solid, liquid and gas, out of which we focused on the solid materials, and in the solid materials it is always convenient to discuss a form which is periodic, which means the atoms are assembled at equidistances all along the three directions, which are also termed as a crystalline material, in which there is a long range ordering, and therefore it is more appropriate to understand the electrical conductivity in a given solid. It is also possible to understand the short range ordering which happens in a glassy material or in an amorphous material. But for the sake of a theoretical understanding, it is easier to put the atoms in localized positions or at equidistant positions and call them as a crystalline material and discuss the electrical conductivity in solids. Let us just see the periodic table, in which case let us for example see the fifth group element of the periodic table, in which case every one of us know there are 5 electrons in the outermost orbital, or which will be termed as the valence electrons. So, here you will be surprised to see that this blue color represents a relatively a poor metal, and the white color or the white background represents a non-metal. Even if they are in the same group, you can clearly see that boron is a non-metal, which means it will not exhibit any good conductivity when compared to arsenic or gallium or indium, which will exhibit relatively a good conductivity, though they are not as good as silver, which is called as a good conductor. So, here you can clearly see there is something which is different, and this has to be explained, because if we have to understand based on the free electron theory, if there are n number of electrons which are available for the conduction, then all of them should behave like the same or with the same conducting nature. So, there is something very unique in the conduction phenomena which is not as simple as the free electron theory. So, let us try to understand this based on a law which has been postulated to describe the two class of conductivity, or this law is known as the Weidmann-Franz law, in which case the ratio between the electrical conductivity to that of the thermal conductivity is described as a constant, or in other words you can see here the Weidmann-Franz law describes that the ratio of the electronic contribution to the thermal conductivity and the electrical conductivity, which is given out as sigma of a given metal, is proportional to the temperature, and this proportionality constant is what is known as L, and this constant can be calculated based on this relationship, and from this constant which is known for this expression we can find out, or it has been shown that it will be of this order of 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 8 watt ohm per degree Kelvin. This constant was found to be varying in number, and it was not found to be the same for all metals. So, before going into the details, we will understand what is the corresponding expression for force. If you have a charged particle or a particle which is in motion, we can simply say that the force will be governed, particularly for a charged particle like an electron, the force is the charged particle multiplied by the electric field which is applied. So, the force is given out as minus of E dot E, which is a vectorial quantity. Here the minus represents the electron is in movement with respect to the electric field applied, but it is in the opposite direction. And obviously one can relate force as mass into acceleration, in which case the mass is given out as m and the acceleration is given out as dv by dt, which is the derivative of the velocity term. So, if you take this as a simple velocity and then if you derive this expression like just interposing this 2 here, we will arrive at this kind of an expression. So, this velocity can attain a speed which can also go as high as infinity, which is not possible, which means the electron should leave from the matrix or from the atomic configuration. So, this is not at all possible, and therefore, a concept was arrived, and this concept made it understand that there is a group velocity, and the group velocity function invariably accounts for the scattering which can happen, or the electron which is in movement will internally come to a equilibrium or a state which is at rest, and so it will not attain a velocity which can be equated to infinity, which means the electron can move away from the matrix of atoms. So, let us also try to understand the issues which are underlying the problems associated with the Wiedemann-Franz law or the expression for the Lorentz constant. The Lorentz constant was found to be 2.23 into 10 to the power minus 8 for copper at 0 degree centigrade, whereas it was found to be 3.2 into 10 to the power minus 8 for tungsten at 100 degree centigrade. So, you can see there is a very clear distinct difference in the Lorentz constant, and this is valid obviously for very high temperatures and for relatively low temperature. That is what we describe here. If you take a temperature like 0 degree centigrade, it is around 2.23 and it is still around 3.2, which is at 100 degree centigrade. So, here it is an intermediate temperature, and in this intermediate temperature the Lorentz constant is not the value which was expected. And if you take for example some high purity metals, the electrical and thermal conductivities rise as the temperature is decreased, and so once again this will give rise to the understanding of the Lorentz constant. If you take a material like silver or aluminum, the value of L may also decrease with temperature. So, once again there is going to be an ambiguity or a factor which is varying, which is not a constant. So, when we have an issue which is not a constant, then there is something to be looked up into the details of the explanation for the Lorentz constant. And once again the other case, for example, if you take a pure sample like silver at very low temperatures, the L value or the constant can drop as much as a factor of 10, which is a number which is too big to understand this explanation. Let us look into the details of what accounts for a thermal conductivity property of a material. Obviously, we can call the thermal conductivity of a material as K, and this is proportional to the number of particles per unit volume. So, obviously that will increase the conductivity if they are more in number, and then it is given out by the mean particle speed or the average velocity, and then the mean free path. For example, if you take one atom or one electron, in which case the electron can migrate from one end to the other end as the temperature rises, but it will come into a collision with respect to another electron which can also be in movement. So, if the distance is of the order of 10 to the power minus 6 or 7, let us say centimeters, then that will be taken as one value, and correspondingly for another electron we will have to find out what is the distance it travels before it makes a collision. So, those averaged distances are known as the mean free path. And there is another factor which is the inherent property of a given material, which is known as the molar heat capacity, which will also be contributing to the thermal conductivity. Then this is given out also by the Avogadro number of atoms or their corresponding participating particles. So, this is the whole expression for the thermal conductivity, and therefore, the thermal conductivity can be simply summarized as N into V, which is the mean particle speed, lambda, which is the mean free path, and the K value divided by the number 2, which is this K comes from this Cv divided by 3 Na. Okay. Now, the electrical conductivity can also be given by this relationship, wherein N stands for the number of particles per unit volume, E stands for the charge of the electron, and lambda is once again the mean free path, and M stands for the mass of the particle with an average or the group velocity, which is given out as this lambda V. The limitations of this free electron gas model has to do with the free electron concept itself, or the approximation which has gone into the free electron. How do we describe a free electron? A free electron is described as the one which moves freely without any scattering. So, the positive ions act as scattering centers, and it is assumed to have no effect on the motion of the electron between collisions. This is one limitation. The second limitation is the independent electron approximation, which means the electron is supposed to travel without any interaction, and in reality the electron certainly interacts, and so this interaction phenomena has to be taken into consideration. The third one is the relaxation time approximation. It is considered that the outcome of the electron collision is to be independent of the state of motion of the electron before the collision. So, there is a relaxation time. For example, if the electron is moving and if it is colliding, then it will have a relaxation time. So, it will not move forward until it is once again free to move. So, there is a relaxation time which has not been taken into consideration. This were all overcome by a unique theory which was postulated by Louis de Broglie, which was a very excellent theory to understand these issues, particularly with respect to the electron which is in movement. So, here the electron is considered not only as a particle with a mass and a charge, it is also considered to move like a wave. So, this was considered to be a very clear explanation to understand the electrical conductivity and the different values of conductivity which are observed with respect to different types of elements or compounds. The motion of a particle is governed by the wave propagation properties of a pilot wave, which is called as the matter wave. So, the first time in 1923 Louis de Broglie explained that matter itself can be explained with respect to the wave theory. So, for example, if you want to calculate the wavelength of the matter wave, then in that case it is the value which is given out by the Heisenberg's value of h, and it is divided by the momentum or the particle momentum. Once again, this can also be described with respect to the velocity or the nu value also. So, the energy relationship is given out as E equal to h nu. So, here the frequency from where we can also obtain the lambda can be described as E by h. So, we can relate these expressions, and then in one case this acts as a particle, and in the other case we are describing this as a wave. So, the probability that the particle will be found in a given volume dV is given by this expression, which is a dependent factor with respect to the positions, which is given out as r, and the time which is given out as t. So, this is known as the psi function or the wave function, which is always given out in square term as the amplitude term, and so therefore, we can see the psi square which is given out as the probability density here. So, this is very important. So, we have now two models, one is known as the classical model and the other is known as the quantum model. In the classical model, which is a metal, can be determined as the array of positive ions with electrons that are free to roam inside the array, whereas in the quantum model the electrons are in a potential well with infinite barriers. So, here they have some specific ideas. So, they do not leave the metal and still they are free to roam inside. In this case, the classical model has the electrons treated as if it is an ideal natural gas, and their total energy depends on the temperature and the applied field, whereas here the electron energy levels are discrete, which is known as quantized and well defined. So, the average energy of the electron is not equal to the Boltzmann constant. The other important thing is, in the absence of an external field, electrons move with randomly distributed thermal velocities, whereas here the electrons occupy energy levels according to the Pauli's exclusion principle. So, the Pauli's exclusion principle is well known. So, in this case the electrons occupy specific energy levels as per the Pauli's exclusion principle, whereas in the earlier case they move with a random motion, which is not allowed in the case of the quantum theory of solids. When an electric field is applied, once again the electrons acquire a net drift velocity in the direction opposite to the field which is applied, whereas electrons acquire additional energy when the electric field is applied, which means there are specific energy levels in the quantum model, and so therefore they cannot acquire any energy or occupy any energy position as they may like to, and so there are specific energy levels which are brought in the concept of quantum theory, and these energy levels are also packets of discrete or quantized energies, which we will try to understand in detail. Before going into the quantum theory in detail and explain the real conductivity or the electrical conductivity in different types of solids, we will just go back and see what happens to the Lorentz number, or how the Lorentz number issues were solved. Just look at this expression. Earlier we said K by sigma is proportional to temperature, or it was proportional to a temperature with a proportionality constant of L, which was known as the Lorentz constant, and this Lorentz constant was 2.44 into 10 to the power minus 8 watt ohm per Kelvin square. Now they just transposed or brought this temperature term in the denominator, and then it was considered to be a constant here, and then this was found to be more or less valid with respect to different materials like silver or gold, cadmium, copper, iridium. So you can see at 273 Kelvin, which is something like 0 degree centigrade. So you can see this is 2.3, 2.35, and it was splendidly agreeing with respect to the Lorentz constant which was described earlier. And similarly, even if you raise the temperature, because the temperature term is already brought in here, so as you go to 100 degree centigrade, once again this Lorentz constant depends, or it has found to be a constant in spite of different metals. But remember here, the different metals still can have different particle size or nature of distribution, but here the Lorentz constant does not account for the particle size or the shape of the material which is under investigation. So there are to be several considerations which has to be made before we clearly explain the electrical conductivity of solids. So in order to understand the electrical conductivity of solids, there were the statistical concept which were introduced. There were three statistical concepts which are already in place. One was known as the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution, which was the first statistical way of looking at the particle position or the particle distribution. What do we mean by statistics? Statistics essentially means if there are let us say 20 girl students and 20 boy students in a class, then they are equally distributed as girl students of 20 and boy students of 20. If somebody makes a question, how many students are there in this class, we can simply say there are totally 40 students. We do not distinguish girl students or boy student. So in the Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics, they try to understand the particle as a particular type of the species which is allowed inside this ambient. So there is no distinction between the girl and the boys, they are only grouped as one ensemble as students. So the Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics invariably explains a macroscopic system. The particle distribution is to be understood with respect to the nature of the particles. So for example, we said like if you have a class of students, then we just say there are 40 students, in which case we can still say on an average we have students who are let us say something like 4 feet high, and there are students who are with a height of 5 feet. So there we can say statistically there are students of 4 feet height of certain number and 5 feet height of certain number. But the problem is still we are not differentiating the students as girl students and the boy students. So in a statistical manner we simply say there are students and these students are with certain type of character. So in the Maxwell-Boltzmann statistics they were grouped as a total number of students, whereas when we take other type of statistics like the Fermi-Dirac statistics or the Bose-Einstein statistics, we are now going to attach some significance to the particles. So we can either group the particle as an electron or we can group the particle as a photon. In the case of grouping the particle as an electron, which is the Fermi-Dirac statistics, in which case the electron should obey the Pauli's exclusion principle. But if you take the Bose-Einstein statistics, we can group the particle with a photon like nature, in which case the photon is not going to obey the Pauli's exclusion principle in occupying the electronic energy levels. So, let us just quickly see the type of particles with respect to a fermion or a boson. A fermion refers to a particle which will obey the Fermi-Dirac statistics, and a boson refers to a particle which will obey the Bose-Einstein statistics. So, each particle occupies only one state or one energy state, whereas here any number of particles can occupy a state. So, you can see here this is what I am representing as a state. So, here only one particle or each particle is occupying a given state, whereas here you can see here we have one particle and here in this case we have two particles. So, any number of particles can occupy a given state, and then here they obey the Pauli's exclusion principle, which means there will be only plus of or minus of state which are assigned to the particle and they can only occupy the given state, whereas here there is no such necessity. Then this obviously obeys the Fermi-Dirac statistics and this obeys the so called Bose-Einstein statistics. Here the bosons have an integer spin which is meaning 1, 2, 3 like that, which is a unique number. So, a photon or a phonon, which means a sound or a vibrating particle, can be considered to be a phonon. So, the photon is a particle which is with light energy. So, this is also obeying the boson statistics, whereas the electron or the neutron which has a charged species and which obeys the Pauli's exclusion principle are categorized under the Fermi-Dirac statistics. So, we are going to look at the energy levels and how they are very important in understanding or in differentiating different types of conductivity in solids. As I said earlier, the electrical conductivity of even a given type of good conductors vary in certain range, whereas we have materials which are classified as insulators which have very high resistivity or very poor conductivity, and we also have materials which are classified as intermediary state of conductivity which also have very unique character, which are known as semiconductors, which are more important for electronic device. The free electron theory of the gas as to how it can be described. So, if you have this is the distance between two atoms. So, for example, if I take the potential energy as the electron, if this is a position where I have one electron here which is attached to the nucleus, and this is another electron which is attached to the next neighboring atom. So, here as the electron keeps moving away from the valence state or which is moving in this direction along the x direction, which is, let us assume that we have an atom here, we have another atom here, and this electron is attracted towards the next neighbor, which means it can be a simple charge transfer because of the applied electric field or because of thermal energy it can start to move. So, it is only a conceptual idea that the electron starts to move. So, as it moves, this can move in and then it can create a potential energy. So, the potential energy will be a maximum in the distance between two adjacent atoms. Let us try to understand the usefulness of the materials as the electron keeps moving. So, having studied the structural arrangement of atoms in solids and the thermal and vibrational properties of the lattice, we have to now consider the electronic properties of solids in a more simplistic model. So, the simple and crude finite square well model. So, we can have this as a well. For example, this position is called as a well, and so this is a barrier, which means the electron is trying to cross this barrier so that it can start to move in this well here. Can we justify this model? How can one replace the entire lattice by a constant zero potential? So, this is a zero potential state, and how can we replace this? So, let us try to pose a simple question. Can we understand this model? How can one replace the entire lattice by a constant zero potential? So, for this to be understood, there are certain assumptions which has to be taken into consideration in the free electron gas model. So, the metals have a very high electrical conductivity and there is no apparent activation energy. So, at least some of their electrons are free and bound to the so called atom, and the Coulomb potential energy of the positive ions is of the order of 1 by r, the distance which is known as the screen distance by the bound electron and it is weaker as long distances or at long distances from the nucleus. The electrons would have a very low u, which is very high for the given k, which is known as the wave vector, and near the nucleus. So, they spend less time near the nuclei and more time which is far away from the nuclei, where u is not changed rapidly. And therefore, this model, which is the behavior of the free electron with u equal to 0, which means it is a constant potential at 0 value inside the volume of the metal and a finite potential step at the surface. So, if you assume that each has no free electrons, the chemical valence or where the N is called as the chemical valence, the resistance comes from the electrons interacting with the lattice through occasional collisions. So, which we have also discussed earlier. So, there is an electron which is in movement here, or let us assume that the electron is starting to move and then it can collide with the positive ion core and then it can collide and then it can move. So, we can take into consideration the distances it has travelled with this path and then we can calculate the mean velocity. So, the potential distribution around an atom and a molecule is what is known as a periodic potential in a crystal. We can take an electron to be at this position with an atom which is attached to this electron. So, as the electron moves away from the given atom, then it gains a potential energy. So, the potential energy will be maximum as it moves away from this so called valence state. So, this will have an energy level along the x direction and that will be given out by this expression here. So, the potential distribution in a one dimensional crystalline structure will be very simply like this. As the electron is moving away from the valence state or the nucleus of the given atom, the electron gains a potential energy and therefore, it goes into this position and then as it nears the next neighbor, then it will come down. So, it can be varying as a periodic potential. That is why we call it as a periodic potential in a crystal. So, let us now summarize. We have been discussing the free electron theory of solids and we have understood the ratio between the electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity is a constant, and based on this constant we have analyzed different metals and found out there is a very good validity with respect to the expression of K divided by sigma into T is equivalent to L, which is known as the Lorentz number. But still there are a lot of discrepancies, because in a given periodic group or in a given group of the periodic table, for example, boron is showing out to be a non-metal or it is not making a good conductor when compared to the other in the same periodic table. So, it was understood that there is something which is deviating from the classical theory and therefore, the quantum theory was brought in, and the quantum theory describes the electron can behave like a matter wave, and therefore, we have to now discuss the movement of the electron in a periodic potential. Let us ask some simple questions. What is the ratio between electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity? What is the limitations of the free electron theory in understanding the electrical conductivity of solids? What is the advantage in the quantum theory? Thank you.